Good afternoon, all our loyal listeners and new listeners. We have a great show planned for you and for several shows from the Show Me State. We're going to first talk about, tomorrow is Father's Day, and then we was waiting for a text in to see how the fishing derby went, and not only is tomorrow Father's Day, but federally it's Juneteenth Day. We got some really special guests today, and do we have them connected yet?
You got Miss Haslett.
You have Mr. Bland on there and Dr. Holliday?
No.
Everything okay?
Yeah, who am I speaking with?
Excuse me?
Huh?
I said, is everything okay?
Yes, who am I speaking with?
Melissa.
Oh, okay, Melissa. Well, we were waiting to get you on the line. Okay.
Melissa Patterson Hasley.
Yes, ma'am. I haven't spoken with you in quite some time.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Right. Okay. Are we ready, Scott?
Jill Holiday is waiting for the call.
You're all online, on the air.
Yeah, Gil Holiday, do you have Mr. Bland on the line?
Yes.
I'm on the call, but Dr. Holiday
now
is
we're
waiting
for
for the
Dr.
call.
Holiday, right?
Yes.
Okay. In the meantime, you are tuned in to Guess Who's Coming to Kansas City, and we are very happy that we have such...
How are you doing?
Doing all right since I'm talking to you. But what I first want to do is that Freedom Inc. is the #1 Democratic organization I think, in the United States. Matter of fact, when I first got introduced to Freedom Inc., my mother did it. She used to work the politics at 23rd and Benton at Johnson Drugstore. I didn't know anything about politics, about Leon Jordan, about Mr. Jordan, about Mr. Slaughter, and all the people who was really passing out the freedom ballots whenever they had an election. My mother was one that helped me to it. And then along came Rosa James. They just left us last year. When she came here from North Carolina, she was a dedicated freedom worker and also going around soliciting, getting people to become registered voters. And at one time, she's one of the commissioners for the Board of Elections. But freedom goes so way back is that when I traveled down to New Orleans, when they were 65% minority, they did not have a black mayor. So I took them the freedom book that I got from Fred Curls up on 55th and Cleveland, and they got a black mayor before Kansas City got a black mayor. And there was another group, they had Republicans here, the New Breed. Also, we had the Brotherhood neighborhood, Democratic Brotherhood neighborhood that was kind of headed by Henry Ross and Sylvester Babyface North. But the person who has really had that second state or the organization had been Freedom. I know these would fight left and right against the Second War that was controlled by the name they used as Boss Wagner. But today we have, and then I got involved with Freedom by Tom Neely, Charles Halliwell, also Philip Curls, and we have the Young Freedom Inc. Organization. But we have the people who are the people who are involved in it and taking it to the 21st, hopefully the 22nd and 23rd century. So we're very happy to have the head of Freedom, Mr. Rodney Bland. Do we have Dr. Gail Holiday on yet?
We do.
Well, how are you, Doctor? She happened to be a graduate of, what's the university up there, that Bison University? Is that Howard?
Howard University, yes, indeed.
And then we got a young lady, our folks is head of, and he's with the Missouri Black Chamber of Commerce, that we got a young lady that is outstanding. I knew her father-in-law. Her name is Melissa Patterson Hasley. And we got a tremendous show today planned for you, as well as I talked to Mr. Bland earlier, and I got to talk to our. We can't do everything today. We're going to have a series of shows, and since ours in St. Louis, and also we're in Kansas City, the show we saved, we knew we got to do something where one time was a guy who was one of my bosses with the Kansas City clan, Burton Fisher. He would say everything, because he got a little cash for it, everything should be blue. That's what we should do for the state of Missouri. Now let's proceed with our show. First, with each of you, would you tell something about yourself so we can get into the show? And anytime you want to interject what St. Louis has to catch up with Kansas City, feel free to do so.
No, I just want to know, I'll be here to listen and learn, sir.
Why don't you do this before we bring on our featured guest? Tell them about how Father's Day got started, and that's what we'll be celebrating tomorrow along with Juneteenth.
Yes, sir. Father's Day got started. Matter of fact, the young ladies always first here. The lady, Miss Sonia Smart Dobb, whose father raised her and her 5 siblings after her mother died in childbirth for the Father's Day in 1910 in Spokane, Washington. However, it was not until 1972, about 50 years later, that after President Woodrow Wilson made Mother's Day officially a holiday, that day became a nationwide holiday in the United States. So again, happy Father's Day to all the fathers.
Okay, thank you very much, and I hope they treat us as fairly as they did the mothers on Mother's Day. They got numerous gifts. They took them out to breakfast, dinner, buffets, you name it. So, but let's get into Mr. Bland. Tell us about, or are you going to be a gentleman and let the ladies be first? It's your time to let us know that you're in charge.
This is Rodney Bland. I'm the current president of Freedom Inc. But I'm going to yield to President Emeritus, who is Dr. Gail Holiday, and I'll yield her to Mr. Patterson Hasley, who's on the executive board, a 19-member board of Freedom Inc. And then I will speak after they speak. Dr. Holiday?
Yes.
Why don't you go first?
Hello to all. Yes. This is Gail Holiday, and I recently did some very dedicated study on freedom. I came to Kansas City in 1970 or late 69. However, freedom actually started in 1961. Organized, of course, by Leon Jordan, Bruce Watkins, Fred Curls, Howard Maupin, and Dr. Charles Moore were the original founders. In 1962, the Articles of Incorporation were filed by Leonard Hughes Sr. And the organization has flourished since that time. Of course, we've had a few down years, but we started out in city elections. Then Leon felt strongly that it was important to work and get representation throughout Jackson County. And so Bruce Watkins, after serving as a city councilman, was selected to take on that position. Following that, and I should say really our start was public accommodations was really the hidden issue, and we were successful as an organization in opening up, along with other civil rights organizations, downtown Kansas City, the stores, the counters, the lunch counters, and so forth. We moved from city to county to the nation when we elected Kansas City's first black congressman, Alan D. Wheat. And after that, freedom just continued to move forward. You know, my only regret with freedom as we this year celebrate our 60th year is the fact that we've not been able to gain our numbers as improved our numbers much over the years. The progress, no matter the hard work, has been slow. We have expanded in the precinct and wards and have a number of, I believe we're in 12 and a half, 13 wards, because some wards we're in only partially. But most, the solid 12, we have committees, men and women, who represent 99% of those wards. So we continue to hold the line and make progress there, but we still are at 3 or 4 African American council members. We, along the way, which was really initiated back with Leon, we frequently have to support others other than African Americans who are sympathetic to our cause. So we do have some white council members that work with us quite well, and we've supported over the years and each of the councilmatic years. today, as we prepare, and what I am working on, I served as president for 8 years, and I am now the recent past president and working hard to pull off, if you will, the 60th anniversary celebration of this outstanding organization, which, by the way, is the oldest black democratic political organization in the nation. And I want to make that civil rights distinction. During my administration, I tried to make clear that we are a political pact. We do political business. Rodney will attest to the fact that we're in every election, no matter whether it's a ballot issue or a candidate or candidates. We are in those elections and have been for 60 years and will continue into the future. As far as the 21st century, Freedom has completely organized and structured its operations. We do candidate screening. We do not endorse until we have screened each and every candidate that is willing to come before us. And otherwise, if you will not be screened, we cannot endorse you. So we have a process. We have a membership organization. We have a website, a Facebook page, and we continue to move with technology and organizational structure. And then I will finally go back to the 60th anniversary celebration and then pass the baton to others. We are inviting Democrats across the nation. We're using this opportunity to celebrate our 60th year to try to amass as many Democrats as possible, black and white, to prepare ourselves for the 2024 election so that we may be able to turn blue at least a portion of this state. We need a Democratic senator very, very badly. And everybody needs to be on that bandwagon. We have one U.S. senator that is really an embarrassment to the state as far as I'm concerned. So we're gathering Democrats at Hotel Kansas City, which is a new refurbished boutique hotel downtown 1228 Baltimore on July 23rd to honor Democrats and hope that we start the conversation across the state. Melissa Hasley, who's on, will be able to mention the hundreds of Democrats that we have organized and sent out. The invitations will go out this coming week, but we've sent them all, save the date. I think that's about it. We're making a fundraiser because Freedom continues to raise some of its own money. There are always questions about how do you finance the campaign. Well, you have to have money to finance the campaign. So this will be a fundraiser, but it's more a celebration of Democrats across the state of Missouri, black and white. And I'll yield to Melissa Patterson, Dr. Melissa Patterson Hasley.
Thank you, Dr. Gale. As Dr. Gale mentioned, I am Dr. Melissa Patterson Hasley. I'm on the executive board of Freedom Incorporated, and I have been for several years now. I've been very hands-on involved with Freedom for about 10 years. I first came to Freedom as an undergraduate student, but I'm much more involved now in kind of helping to organize Freedom in terms of our political engagement, how we interact with elected officials, how we respond to and learn about and educate the community about ballot questions, One of the things that I do is campaign management. So I'm involved in that, and then I'm on several committees, such as the fundraising committee, and now leading our social media committee, because this is a modern freedom, and we're going to be communicating who we are and what we do in different ways that match, the century that we're in now and how people communicate now. So look out for us much more actively on social media so that we can spread our message and share what we do and who we are. Professionally, I'm a researcher at the Institute for Human Development at UMKC, but freedom is really close to my heart. As you all have already mentioned, my father-in-law is Charles Hadley. I am married to Jason Hadley, his youngest son. We have one daughter, Addison Hadley. She's 9 years old. And you'll have to forgive me because we're at our cousin's pool party. So I'm sitting here on mute most of the time, but hoping to be on for as long as I can while my sisters watch the kids in the pool. So I'm doing double duty. I'm a mom. I'm very politically active, civically engaged, and just happy to be on the show.
Okay, that's the two ladies. Now, Rodney, I guess it's your turn now. I go way back in freedom. Like I said, my mother introduced me to freedom years ago when she used to pass out sample ballots whenever they had elections. I didn't know anything about politics at that time. And her main station was Johnson Drugstore on 23rd and Benton. But around the corner at the old Holy Name Church, that's where people could go and cast their ballots. So the other thing that people are saying, I know you can help remedy this, that people said, like I know we used to canvass from door to door, and people saying the word is not getting out about what freedom is, how they really serve the community. Dr. Holiday, you stated earlier about you on Facebook, you on this, that, and other, but people out in the general community, from what I hear, they need to do more to really touch base with the everyday people.
MC, this is Rodney Bland. If you give me the opportunity to address some of these issues, as I introduce myself to your audience, I'm Rodney Bland. I'm a lobbyist, advocate, community advocate. I'm a consultant to several businesses, advocate for state. I would tell you that I was introduced to freedom when I was 12, 13 years old, worked with my dad and my mom, who worked for Land Clearance and Development Authority, and was doing community organizing, and I was on the polls, passing out the village.
You're breaking up.
Can you hear me?
Are you on the speakerphone, sir?
Well, can we do this? Could you see if you could get me on my cell number, 816-694 2273, and that would be better to pick out a bunch of the static I'm hearing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
We can hear you, but you have a lot of static noise.
No, he was on the speakerphone at first. Go ahead, Mr. Ryan, go ahead.
Still static?
Go ahead, sir.
Is it still static?
No, sir, go ahead.
Okay. So I would say to you that I've been doing campaigns for a long time. I also served at the pleasure of the board of Freedom Inc. By the way, we have 120 plus general members, and we have a 19 board that governs our organization. Gail McCann Beatty is the chairwoman of our organization, and I'm the president. DeBow McGee is the first vice president, and Ken Bacchus is the second vice president, and Bruce Beatty is our treasurer. We have been actively under Gail, Dr. Holiday, and former senator, state senator Kiki Curls, co-presidents for several years. We've been working on building a better model of campaign. As Dr. Holiday said earlier, we are involved in every single election, no matter what. And so in that argument, we run campaigns. I am the former nominating committee chair for since 2010 for Freedom Inc. for all elections, and then we divided the campaigns into special categories: city, county, state, and education. And Dr. Holiday named different chairs under her leadership, and now we are doing a lot of different chairmen who are over those different committees. But so I would tell you that we continue to strive to make sure that our community connections are important. We do community outreach. We run campaigns, as Dr. Holiday described earlier. We have a committee of each of those electable areas that require that a candidate running for any office, and every office has to fill out first a nominating screening committee questionnaire, because we see candidates as people who are running for office being screened for their particular area: municipal, county, state bodies, education, school. They're applying for a job. So all of the instruments being developed around that particular area. For instance, Kansas City, Missouri is a corporation, $2.1 billion corporation. And if you're going to be a city councilman, you ought to understand prerogative department budgets and operations and services. And so what we do is we screen them, and then we have a recommendation by the chairs that comes to the board with 19 members. And all the members on the board, with the exception of maybe 4 or 5 people, are former elected or current elected officials, city, state, county, and school. So all that processing is in effect how we come to a decision, because we ask the hard, difficult questions about representation and accountability. Whoa. So that's getting on my side.
Yes, who else is going to speak up? Howard, do you have anything you want to add right quickly to this?
No. I just want to sit back and listen. But Mr. Bland seems to have should not keep walking around on his telephone, and this way get some bad reception.
No, I'm sitting in my car. So are you still getting static?
We better now.
Yeah.
We're fading out for a second there.
Okay.
I would like to add to Rodney when Rodney has finished. Go ahead, Rodney.
So I would just tell you that as far as our outreach in the community, we are doing things significantly enhanceable to get more information out to our community, to our constituents. We have 12 wards in the urban core that we have committee men and women representing freedom in every ward. Committee man, a committee woman that's elected every 2 years from our community in their wards. So we do this every 2 years, and we are more now trying to get involved in a more strenuous look at information out. Hence, Dr. Holiday and Melissa talking about more technology-based platforms to reach a larger audience base, to give them more information. Folks go to our website, freedomincorporated.org, spelled out all the way, they can see kind of the history page and kind of what we've been doing. And I think that as we go further into forums and to informational activities, I think people will begin to have less questions about our authenticity, about how we do things, because we're trying to expose more of our operations. So we put a ballot out, we put a voter guide out, we put a tabloid out, we put a postcard out, we got a phone bank, we have canvassers to go out, knock on doors. So we utilize about 9 to 12 instruments per election, depending on our budget. But we do all of that, and we also maintain the polls. Every poll is maintained by a Freedom Inc. person. So we do a lot of different things to make sure that we are successful with our candidates going forward. So I hope I've answered some of the dialogue you raised, MC. But I'm sure there are gaps I missed, and Melissa, who was involved, and Dr. Holliday can fill some of the other issues in. And Dr. Holliday, you might want to talk about the 501c4 that we also forming.
Well, yes, it's not much. Thank you, Rodney. We are in the forming process of establishing a 501c4, which will help us through private contributions and fundraising to be able to do more education, voter education, issue education among our citizenry. So we are in that process with an attorney and with an accountant to apply for a 501c4, which is slightly different from a C3, which a lot of people are familiar with. But the C4 will allow us to engage in supporting issues, and we want to be able to do that in a non-for-profit way.
Speaking of a 501c4, didn't your late husband, when he working on that?
Who?
Doc Holliday, wasn't he working on trying to get the 501?
I don't know, MC, back in those days, even though I was married to Doc, I don't recall that he was working on a C4, but it could be. We've certainly talked about it for years, but we are now actually implementing it. And I just want to say that's part of the 21st century movement, that some of these things that have been talked about and haven't had any foundation or structure are now, that's happening. But just as important, I think Rodney has covered it quite well, but I just want to emphasize, Freedom over the years has spent hundreds, and I do mean that without exaggeration, thousands of dollars trying to keep our people informed. Someone said to me at one of the community meetings, we don't understand, it's not rocket science, how come people can't keep informed? Well, I'm going to say to you, MC, it is rocket science. We send so much information to people's homes. As Rodney said, we have phone banks and call them on the phone and chat with them. And for people to continue to say they don't know what Freedom's doing, but yet on election day, they look for our ballot. So they must know something about Freedom. And I just wonder if it's just not a comfortable conversation to say we don't know what Freedom's doing. They see that black and gold information every election year. But as Rodney mentioned, we're approaching it a little bit different along with elections. We have a Freedom Fundraising Committee and Social Action Committee that now, I don't know if you were able to attend, but we just did a recognition of founders at Bruce Watkins which was a free event that talked about the early start of freedom with Leon and Bruce and the other founders. We will continue that program each year during Black History Month, bringing each of the generations of freedom forward. We also had through our membership committee, last year, I believe it was last year at Swope Park, a year before. This year will be at the Mohawk Center, outside and inside, which is the free giveaway. We call it Freedom's Give Back. And hundreds of community people come out for those events. So I'm always just astounded when people say they don't know what Freedom's doing, because we are about as public as one can get, and I'm not sure how much more money we can spend to try to make people know that we're still out there working on their behalf. So you might have some thoughts on that, MC, since you're the one that brought it to the forefront of what we can do better.
And you hear, it's just like on this show and through Yuma, which I always part of, that's what some people, not to say that they go out and support you in the community, but like you stated earlier, that's the talk they're telling other people. I don't know anything about. They used to canvas go from door to door, but then sometimes they might not even be registered. But a lot of people can talk that talk, but don't get things done. Then we go back to the separation of church and state. Is there such a thing?
Not really, not anymore.
MC, let me add to that discussion.
Okay.
Two things. In 2019, I was nominated chair of Freedom Inc. And here's what typically happens. When we announced that we were having our screenings, we had in 2019 the mayoral race, the council race. My committee interviewed over 50 people for office. My committee met every Saturday.
My committee met every Saturday for about 6 or 7 hours, and God bless the dear departed Carol Cole, who was one of my committee members. We shall miss her forever. But and we screened everybody. At the end of the screening, everybody wanted to be screened. At the end of the screening, we made our decision every race. And those that did not get endorsed immediately became enemies of Freedom Inc. because they wanted the endorsement, and we didn't endorse them. So they, like every election, once we make our nominations, the whole board moves the same step. And it's always going to be the person who did get the endorsement is going to badmouth or say we did some injustice to them, when everything we do starts at the questionnaire, starts at the interview, and then a recommendation by that chair to the board, to the membership. And we don't get involved in the details. The committee does, as committee should do. Secondly, I will tell you that we do canvassing. Our phone bank coordinates with us, and we do canvassing. And we canvass based on voter profile of folks who have voted in the last 3 or 4 or 4 or 4 elections. We don't go door to door because we used to drop 20,000 pieces of literature, but it was scattered literature and it wasn't targeted toward the people who actually vote. So now we do a targeted approach to people who actually vote or have voted in previous elections of similar type. So we have canvases out there, and our budgets are made for phone bank, the canvassers, and election day, and anything, all instruments pertaining to those other articles. And I say finally,
don't forget mailing. I didn't want to interrupt you, but please, that's going into people's houses.
Yeah.
And when they say they don't know, I just get dumbfounded. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So we actually do a mailing, and we do probably 1, 2, or 3 mailings, and Rich MC, we do a voter guide that we actually mail. Is an 8-page or 12-page voter guide we actually mail that profiles the candidate and their platform. In the tabloid, we actually put in the Kansas Call insert and the Kansas Globe insert, and sometimes the Kansas Star targeted zip codes or our tabloid insert, and pass out on Wednesdays. So when folks say they don't know or they don't understand why we do, we mail in most general elections to 15,000 households, 1,000 registered households. So we spend an enormous amount of dollars when we have our budgets correct on information drop, and we are specifically instrumental in targeting the main issues that affect our community of 12 wards directly.
So let's go back to the mailing. How do you put your mailing list together? Do you get all the registered voters or that list?
Yes.
Or how do you accumulate your mailing list?
The mailing list is generated by several different factors. We use different instruments that are, it could be the van, Missouri van, it could be KC Election Board, it could be a private organization that has a mail list. It could be a Kansas mail list, but all the mail lists are generated by households, by or persons, but they're targeted toward folks who have voted in that similar election over 2, 3, 4 times or more. If you're not voting and you're registered, you might vote 1 out of every 4 elections. We don't normally send to you, but we do send to the 3 out of 4, 4 out of 4 voters on that particular question.
Okay, well, what about, people might not know, well, I know a great deal myself, but what is the job of a committee person? What is their responsibility?
Melissa, committee woman from the 14th Ward, do you want to answer that?
If she can, I'm not sure she's still.
Melissa, are you with us? So, a committee man and woman's role is to generate information to the elected persons of that ward, to the city council, to the state rep, the state senator, to school board members. When people have questions or concerns coming through, of course, the pandemic changed a lot of that interfacing, and now we're coming back out of that. But they also are elected to represent the ward, the Democratic ward, committee man and committee woman, because each party has their party. Like we have a Jackson County Democratic Committee, and that's all the wards in Kansas City and in Jackson County that are wards or blue townships, and there's 92 wards in Jackson County, Democratic wards. Similarly, the Republicans have the same amount of wards for the Republican Party. But the Jackson County Democratic Committee, they meet at least, I think, 3 times, 4 times a year, quarterly, and they actually work on Jackson County Democratic issues and programs and projects aimed at getting voter registration up, getting the vote out, DOTV, activating neighborhoods or community groups that are Democratic solid or leaning to get our population vote up and out. Especially in 2020, it was very challenging, but we were able to get enough votes out of our districts to help the president and always help Congressman Cleaver. But 22 and 24 are significant milestones for us to get more information out into the public stream. So
I know
any man or woman does that.
And Gail, Dr. Holliday kind of answered on that, the separation between church and state. I know that all candidates, or most of the candidates, they go to as many black churches as possible to try to get more people to vote for them, as well as a lot of people put the various sample ballots of their literature in the windows of a lot of cars, that they do it on Sunday when most of the people are in church. Now that we got this crisis, I don't know how many people are going to a regular church, but they do get it online. Did you say early, Dr. Holliday or Rodney, that you online electronically and people can get the information about freedom that way?
I think he gave the website.
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Go to Freedom Incorporated, spelled out in one word, .org. And you can pull our website up and look at all the candidates that we have in this current 2022 election cycle coming forward. You can look at our history page. You can look at all our documents that we have out there in the mail. So, it serves as a very good processing, and look at our membership, how you get to become a member, what it means to be a member. I mean, there's a pretty informational piece in our website.
Go ahead. Who's speaking?
This is Gail. I want to clear up something. First of all, I want to go back to what freedom is and what freedom is not. One of the reasons people may feel, and this is guesswork on my part, that they don't know what freedom is doing, is that they probably are looking at freedom as a civil rights organization. And while we are 100% supportive of civil rights organizations and issues, we are a political organization, which obviously means that we surface around politics. That's what we surface when there is an election. We don't run a 24-hour staffing at our headquarters during dark times when there are not elections. So it is very difficult to just call our phone number and reach us all the time, because we don't staff our office when we're not working elections. Now, we have other meetings there, the regular monthly meetings, committee meetings, and so forth. But I think we need to make it clear what freedom is. Now, a lot of people think of it as a civil rights organization, but we're not the NAACP, the Urban League, the Urban Summit, and other civil rights organizations. We coalesce with those organizations. But our lane is to be political and to run campaigns. So that's when people hear of us, and that's what they do know about us. But I think they want to make us, quote, only a civil rights organization. And while we do promote all civil right issues, we are a political PAC registered with the state of Missouri as such. So I just want to make that real clear and make that distinction possible.
Where is the location of Freedom Inc.?
You see, I was going to say that to you.
Okay.
Freedom Inc. meets, our general membership meetings are held on the third Thursday of every month, unless notified differently, at 6:30 p.m. at 1202 Brooklyn Avenue, Kansas City, Missouri, 64127. We normally have an agenda. We invite the city council members of the 3rd and 5th, and we actually invite all of our state reps, state senator, county elected folks, And we have our school board members, when available, talk about school board issues. The general membership meetings are about information. What are you doing? What ordinances are you putting together? What are your problems? What are your issues? And so we do it on a regular basis every month. And we didn't have one this last week, third Thursday. I moved it to this Thursday at 6:30, the 23rd of June, for a reason. We are still moving toward trying to make sure that our only issue is that we are consistent in our team, and that is no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interest. That interest is the constituency and residents that lie between the 2nd Ward to the 26th Ward. And there's 12 wards, 2nd, 3rd, 7th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 23, 25, and 26. That is our core constituents, and their issues predominate anything we do. Any decision we make, we first discover what those issues benefit our community.
You know, also I mentioned July the 23rd. What's the location and the time on that? The celebration.
10:30 a.m. July 23rd at Hotel Kansas City, brand new refurbished hotel, downtown 1228 Baltimore, Kansas City, Missouri.
And that's a fundraiser, right? And also a celebration.
It is, and a celebration, but as I said, besides the fundraising, the primary purpose is to have Democrats, we've invited Democrats across the state. In almost every city, township, wherever there are Democrats, we've sent out, save the dates, and we'll send them invitations this week so that they can RSVP and pay online. So,
Gail, tell them who the guest speaker is.
Well, I'm hesitant to say that because I'm waiting for that information to come back. Okay. But at this point, the person that is invited is the head of the National Democratic Party, Jamie Harrison. And I'm waiting, even as today, to get a final. The indication has been, yes, he will come, but I don't, until I see it in writing, I'm a little hesitant to say it. But right now, we have the invitation out to Jamie Harrison, and it's been indicated.
Would you tell us who, his little background on who he is?
Well, Jamie Harrison is the national chairman of the Democratic Party. That's basically what I need to say. He is a lawyer, a Harvard graduate. He is a black man, of course. He also attended Yale, I believe, undergraduate school. He ran for the U.S. Senate out of one of the Carolinas. He was not successful then, but the party brought him up to lead nationally. So that is who Jamie Harrison is, and there'll be more information on that. This is a big week for us coming up because this is the week the invitations and all of the information about what we're doing, it will go out this coming week.
Approximately how many people are you expecting?
Well, we're not expecting more than about 300, 350 maximum. Again, it's a Democratic, those that are party active and can move other Democrats to action. We invited the entire Missouri State Democratic legislators and senators. I was appalled to realize we only had 10 Democratic senators, so we got lots of work to do in this state, lots of work. We invited all committee, county, commit Democratic people from across the state in every county. And of course, we invited the Black Caucus and some others. And we are asking Mr. Jamie Harrison to be with us to help spark Democrats to go out and do what they have to do to help to try to turn some of this state blue. So,
Again, you talk about the two co-hosts?
Say that again.
Did you mention the two co-hosts, co-chairs?
No, I'm sorry. Thank you, Rodney. The honorary co-chairs being consistent with our themes will be Mayor Lucas of Kansas City and Mayor Jones, Tashandra Jones of St. Louis. So the two black mayors in the two major cities are honorary co-chairs, and they are fully confirmed. So that's our ambition, and I'm hoping long term this kind of gathering will ignite something in the party. That is kind of the purpose. We are celebrating our 60, but it's just as important that we ignite Democrats across this state to do what we need to do in 2024 for sure. So Freedom is taking the lead in suggesting that this is the kind of gathering that needs to happen. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Okay. Back in the day when they had the state rep, I think, led by Leon Jordan, one time, both of you should remember that Kansas City sent 7 black reps, but then they could redistrict like they're doing now in Kansas and all over to eliminate the cut down. But we as people, a lot of us say we're going to register, but we can register, but we fail to get out and vote. I know you guys provide transportation. I know the church and a lot of groups are there just begging to give people a ride to the polls. So we got to do something to light the fire.
Let me just say one other thing, and I'm really done, because people think what we need to do is go register some more people, and Rodney's spoken to our universe that we normally try to communicate with in terms of an election. But statistically and scientifically, if you register 100 persons, if 10 of those registers actually vote, that is a miracle. Registration is not moving voting. And even if they do vote once, they don't vote anymore. So there's not a lot of money out there, very little this year because we tried to pursue it, to even do voter registration, because people are in the political world are understanding that it has a limited benefit. Now, I know that's a terrible thing and people don't want to hear it, but we need to face the truth.
Let me add Dr. Holliday a bit of fast facts. In 2008, the voting 12 districts of Freedom Incorporated voted 56,000 strong to Barack Obama in the November election. In 2012, 4 years later, we voted 54,000 strong. Charles Hasley, God rest his soul, he actually had shirts made up that said 54,000 Freedom Ward strong. In 2016, Hillary Clinton never came to Kansas City, never talked to us. She got 25,000 votes from the same 12 wards. In 2018, Claire McCaskill, former Senator McCaskill, and although we tried to urge her on several times, Gail, to activate her vote. She got 23,000 votes from the urban core because they did not appeal to our constituents with any interest. So right now we have about 24,000 unregistered voters in 12 wards of Freedom Inc. People move, migrate, passed away, change addresses. We have a very migrant community. We move around a lot. So
once again, we're about out of time, but I want to extend an invitation for you guys to come back. Not next Saturday, but the following Saturday. The event's here on the 23rd, and then we need to get them involved because they reach a lot of people in St. Louis. We need to make Missouri blue. And they got people that run for aldermen and what have you. We got different people. Then we got the election coming up in August. We got the election coming up in November. And the people that run for Congress, that's every 2 years. So how you want to have something because it's a show like I was thinking earlier. We got to do more than just one series and bring on different people or the same people. The people got to realize how they get their buttermilk, their cornbread, and whatever. You can't talk about it. You got to get out there and do it.
Well, we work in Kansas City. We work in Haytop, Missouri, in Jeff City, Columbia area, and also in the St. Louis area. So we're not just St. Louis based. We're trying to cut the Missouri Team Congress trying to cover the whole state business-wise. And one question: is Miss Valentine on the list for your meeting that's coming up next week?
We've already endorsed Tony Bush Valentine for U.S. Senate, and something else comes in flavor. We've already been to that round.
Okay, but I'll ask, will she be in attendance?
For our anniversary, yeah, I'm sure she will.
Okay.
We send everything to St. Louis as well. We're covering St. Louis. We're covering St. Louis. So we should not save the dates. That's when I said various county committees and city aldermen and so forth. Yes, to save the date should be out in St. Louis now.
Okay, what not next Saturday? We know that's the 25th. What's the following Saturday? What's the date of that?
I don't know.
I don't have a calendar in front of me.
It is the 2nd, July 2nd.
July 2nd.
Well, we need more, like I said, I remember the day when Bishop Kendall, Leo McCamey, when we had more state reps sent to Jeff City than ever before. After that, they changed the boundary, they redistricted and everything, like they doing now. Okay.
So I will tell you, MC, we have 5 state reps. Yolanda Young, state rep. Michael Johnson, state rep. Ashley Blaine Manlon, state rep. Richard Brown, state rep. Mark Sharp, state rep. And Jerome Barnes and Tennessee Raytown, state rep. And we have a senator. So we have 6 state reps currently, African Americans.
Well, that's good.
And we have a state senator. I've
never known us to have 7 MC. I'd have to go back in history.
Yeah, he's talking about when actually when Bishop Kendall.
When Kendall and Leo McCamey and all that went.
Yeah, Leo McCamey, all the kids.
Kendall was never a state rep, though. He was never a state rep.
No, wait a minute now.
Who are you talking about?
James Kendall?
Kendall was a state rep.
County legislator.
No, I'm not talking. That came after. I'm talking after he left Lake City. Because we all walked out. But he wasn't a state rep?
Excuse me,
MC.
Yeah.
Bishop Kendall was a state rep.
Okay.
He went down. He served 1 year and didn't want to do it anymore, like Terry Riley. He served 1 year and he said, I'm not doing it no more.
Well, you have to forgive my old memory. If I don't write it down, I don't remember it.
Well, you are from Howard University. But anyway, what what is the following Saturday? Not next Saturday, but the following Saturday.
The 2nd of July.
Okay.
July 2nd's fine. That's fine.
I know people want to party, but let's come back because we do it by telephone. And after that, we want to follow up before the August and then follow up before November. And I think sure that our and his show, that we can hit both of them. We need to get, I said, let's make Missouri blue.
Okay.
Yeah, we're for that.
Well, we want to thank each and we want to thank you guys for being part of it. We're just getting started, okay? And another thing we'll ask to tell all your friends, even when you when you advertise a newspaper, mention our shows and the time so we increase the listeners and hopefully we get more people out to vote and make it blue, okay?
All
All right. You got it.
Do you have anything else to say, Mr. Our folks?
Oh, no. I was just saying my show comes on every Saturday from 1 to 3. And that's lunch at the Missouri Chamber of Commerce. You're all invited. I'd like to have you as my guest sometime in the future.
And Gail and Rodney, he reaches that St. Louis area so we can get some of those people. And I'm quite sure he'll get you information that we need to cover the state, even up there in St. Joe. I don't know what we can do in Springfield.
Well, we sent something to St. Joe and Springfield about the anniversary. I'm telling you, we covered every area of this state that has anybody that represents something in the Democratic Party. Now, whether or not they will show is a whole nother subject.
Dr. Holliday, we know how hard you work when you were with AT&T and all that. So we just need to get the people up. What I'm saying, we just want us to get involved for the stick touring is because when you win, we win, the state wins, okay?
Absolutely.
Thank you, each and every one of you. And we'll look forward to, I'll be in touch with Mr. Bland, and we'll see who we'll have on the 2nd of July. And we got different people. Then you get with Ira, and Ira could get who you're going to have for St. Louis to reach out for them. And Dr. Holliday, we know that your degree is in journalism. You know how to get the word out.
No, my degree is in political science, but okay.
Well, you use journalism to make things happen.
I know. I'm an old Yuma member. Okay.
Oh, really? And I thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay.
Years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Goodbye.
Okay.
Goodbye.